But why did I say our problem is local? Our problem is local because this emerging issue of kidnapping is a crisis economy. And these guys you see in the bush abducting people are mere mercenaries. The real perpetrators are in towns, they are in white collar, some of them in government agencies, some of them in the banking, some of them in financial and other business interests. This is where, in application of the Terrorism Prevention Act, we need to look deeply into what it provides. The Office of the National Security Advisor, that is the coordinating body, the Office of the Attorney General, that is the administrator of the act itself in terms of bringing regulation for facilitation of fighting corruption. Then the law enforcement, where the problem lies, which deals with intelligence, security, prevention, and detection. So when we discuss in detail, I will prove it to you that our problem is local, and the law enforcement and security chiefs, they are right now in the eye of the storm.
Well, about no ransom will be paid. Do you support the president's position?
I agree with President Bwala Tinubu. I agree with him because, one, he must have been briefed based on intelligence that the individuals behind this ransom thing are white-collar people. And so continuing to discuss and giving of ransom is feeding off of this crisis economy, thereby financing them, and in turn they will procure more arms and build that economy to be much more stronger than our oil and gas industry. And they know, these bandits, that once you abduct pupils, primary or secondary, immediately it takes an international dimension because it falls under the Convention of the United Nations, and the responsibility squarely falls on the federal government. But if you abduct families, business people, and the rest, they are deemed under international convention as local acts of crime. Once you take kids, that is why they had the effrontery and audacity to call for 1 billion. Few days ago, they even asked for 40 trillion, 150 motorcycles, and some cars, as if they want this to go and set up a new country. For them to say that, and look at, for example, Dr. Abati, they said they are giving 15 days. If ransom is not paid, they will kill the children. 15 days is enough time for all of them to be decimated. 15 days is enough. So this is where the question of intelligence comes. All of this investment in the procurement of devices for tracking and tracing, for surveillance and interception, where is it? Where are they? Are they functional? When somebody steals a phone in Nigeria, this law enforcement will geotrack the person and catch him. When a terrorist is involved in a crime, it becomes an issue. So everybody comes to President Bwala Tinubu and form one narrative so that President Bwala Tinubu will approve money. But we have not asked the ones that were provided before, what have you done with it?
We've actually asked that, Mr. Bwala. We've asked about allocations and what has been done with that. We've consistently asked that question here. And from what you say, it almost sounds as if there must be some complicity and some people benefiting internally, hence why we've not been able to apprehend or contain this menace. Because you talk about it, and rightly so, I've seen the police work, or ordinary, in investigating just the theft of a telephone. Like you mentioned, using intelligence, and in 24 hours, your phone is back, depending on who you are in society. And so you wonder why it's proving so difficult. So that then fuels the argument that there is some form of sabotage. There is some form of complicity. There are some people within who are deliberately ensuring that this menace continues. And if that is the case, then you wonder, why is the state not responding to this? Why is it hard for them to respond to this? Why is it difficult? These white-collar people you talked about, the bankers, why is it so difficult to trace? In some instances, these ransoms, the ones that were paid by even private citizens, were paid into bank accounts. Why is it difficult to trace that? We all went through the hassle of registering for our NIN in order to be able to track. Why is that not being used? So you wonder who is sabotaging the state, who is sabotaging this administration in that event, and why is it that we haven't been able to solve it? Is the state sabotaging itself?
This is a thriving economy. This is a thriving economy in Nigeria. That's why all manner of people are involved. We have seen a secretary of a church in Jos involved in kidnapping. We have seen family members involved in, kidnapping of their own loved ones. We have seen a husband ask that he be kidnapped so that the wife will pay ransom. It's a thriving economy, and this economy is promoted, financed, and supported allegedly by financial institutions. If you look at the Terrorism Prevention Act, you will see the role. In fact, if you see the definition of what constitutes terrorism in terms of terrorism financing, then any bank that is involved in deposit, transfer, or solicitation or payment of any kind to a terrorist has committed a terrorism act. And this is in compliance with the United Nations Charter. Let us even ask the question, what happened to that, they call the Sanction Committee, that is pursuant to the international, the UN Convention. The Sanction Committee, because if you look at that Terrorism Prevention Act, you will see the committee members. They are the ones that designate individuals and financial institutions as terrorism institution. Ayo, few years ago under Buhari, in Zamfara, where the current Minister of State for Defense was a governor. What characterizes administration? Payment of ransom, payment of ransom. In fact, there was a time when revelation came out that the payment of ransom involved a member of SSS, a Nigerian soldier, a police, a local traditional chief. So these guys who are doing banditry, have you ever seen them flashing cars, changing clothes, or living a lifestyle that would suggest that these monies they have been collecting from people they're actually using? They are mere mercenaries. And that is why I emphasize the point. This requires political will to put an end to it, because the economy is thriving and expanding to a point where you cannot even vouch for members of your own estate. Because the minute you change car, somebody somewhere may be giving information about your life. Now, yesterday, very sadly, Governor Wike had media chat. And in my view, he was leaking out a lot of intelligence that ought not to have been leaked. Talking about they don't have money, they don't have facilities, devices for tracking and the rest. Do you know how much the government of President Buhari invested in the procurement of infrastructure for the purposes of geo-tracking, surveillance, and all of that? So what are we to be asking? Where are this equipment? Are the equipment like pure water where you drink and go to the toilet? Are they not hard devices? That's number one. Number two, everybody who speaks to the ears of president now is always calling money, money, money. So one, you have the crisis economy, those who commit the crime in order to make money. Then on the other hand, you have the bureaucracy that want to get more money so they can stop the crime. And in between the bureaucracy and the perpetrators of the crime are the Nigerian people. That's why Donald Trump, during his tenure, he so much distrusted the CIA that he commercialized and privatized intelligence collection and sharing. He started paying private firms to give intelligence to the American government, because when you give private sector tasks, you get efficiency and result. Bureaucracies are like this sea that never ends. Okay. This is my humble recommendation to Mr. President. So I will come to you. Just 1 second, sir, before you come in, Mr. Rufai. I just wanted to say something. It's about time that the government of Nigeria begin to use PMCs, private military contractors, not foreign PMCs. All these our retired generals, retired army, and the rest, let them be encouraged to form their own PMCs and let government privatize intelligence and security fight. We will bring this to an end within a short time.
How do we now then stop this war economy that has started in Nigeria already? That's number one. Number two, how do we seize this Aitofeli cancel? Number three will be, how do we get these people out and get them home in 15 days' time?
Thank you. If the president wants these guys back in 15 days, Mr. President can call all the security chiefs and say, in 15 days, if I don't see these children back, I am relieving you all and I'm getting a new set of security chiefs. I guarantee you in 15 days, the kids are going to be back. You see, because every day there is a meeting, you'll be hearing them of lack of cooperation. The National Security Advisor is working tirelessly every day, calling meetings, talking. That's why people are now getting fed up to say we get fed up with these meetings. Because at the end of the day, when operation is executed and you hear of lapses, you will then hear there is interagency rivalry. Intelligence is provided but late, or intelligence is provided early, but these institutions that is going to carry out the operation so undermine the intelligence that before they will act on it. A few days ago, I heard a former CIA agent that said the Congress assessment of 9/11 said all the security platforms of America failed because all the intelligence necessary to stop 9/11 came. Intelligence came, but they refused to process it. Intelligence came, they refused to act on it. And when something like that is happening, the only way to stop it is for the commander-in-chief to hold people accountable. Few days ago, one of the escapees of one of the persons that escaped from this abduction or kidnapping said that when they were moving through the bush, at some point, this bandit saw the Nigerian chopper, this surveillance chopper, and they hide somewhere. After 15 minutes, the chopper has gone. They keep moving. That means the range of the law enforcement in Nigeria can reach where these guys are going. 2, geo-tracking. We all know the states in Nigeria where you have large expanse of land where this possible carnage is going on. What happened to our law enforcement security? And then the third one is we put so much pressure on the Nigerian army to deal with internal security matters. So they are overwhelmed and fatigued. How can you ask a carpenter to sew a suit for you? These guys are trained to fight conventional war. When you bring them into the internal mechanism of security checks, that means you are going to expect collateral damage. And the minute an innocent person is killed, then international community come and say, there is a violation of fundamental right. We are not going to give you this weapon. We are not going to give you this weapon. This falls squarely on police, NSCDC, SSS, immigration, custom. Custom are supposed to stop the infiltration of arms to the country. Immigration are supposed to check these borders where these human beings are coming. And then police, there is no part of security in Nigeria where police department, you don't have a police department in that regard. All security in Nigeria came out of police. The soldier came from police. SSS came from police. NCDC came from police. And the most ineffective and ineffectual security in Nigeria is the police. Wow. And where you cannot, that's why I said the president has to be decisive, because from Buhari to this president, I have not heard where a demand is made for money and these presidents refuse to release it. So when you release money, there must be accountability. If there is no accountability, if there is a kidnap, for either the DPO or the commissioner of police or IG of police, somebody has to pay for it.
So do you think there's complicity in the system? Yes or no?
Very strongly. Very strongly. And I have a strong reason to believe that strategic people, even in security, are behind some of this banditry.